We gotta get these kids out of here.
I want my daddy.
He's doing everything he can to get to you.
Based on a true story, the movie opens in California on November 7th, 2018 at 4 p.m. We meet a school bus driver named Kevin, who is on his usual route, dropping off students at their homes on schedule. As he heads back to the bus station, he hears a report on the radio from the meteorological agency announcing that the next day will bring extremely strong winds. Kevin doesn't pay much attention to it. At the station, he talks to Ruby, the station manager, and asks if he can work extra hours because he needs the money. After his father's death, he separated from his wife, Linda, and now supports his mother and his son, Sean. Ruby tells him that senior drivers get the extra shifts first. Kevin leaves feeling frustrated and heads home. When he arrives, his mother surprises him by telling him that Sean has refused to go to school, claiming he's sick. Kevin goes into Sean's room to advise him to focus on his studies, believing Sean lied to his grandmother. But Sean responds that he won't continue his education if he has to keep living with his father, blaming Kevin for the separation from Linda. Devastated, Kevin yells at Sean and then stands by the door crying. He feels helpless, unable to make Sean love him. The next day, the strong winds begin, just as forecasted. Unfortunately, the wind is so powerful that a wire from an electrical tower in the forest breaks loose, causing sparks that ignite the trees. A huge wildfire breaks out. At 6 a.m., Kevin arrives at work, takes his assigned bus, and starts driving his route. He passes by the area where the fire started and immediately reports it to the fire department. The firefighters rush to the scene, but when they arrive, they find the fire deep in the forest. The only road leading inside is quickly becoming blocked with smoke, and the flames spread to more trees, growing larger by the minute. The firefighters begin to worry they'll be trapped and unable to escape, so they call for backup and retreat before the fire surrounds them. Meanwhile, Ray, the head of the fire control unit, and his assistant, Kaysen, locate the point where the fire started and check the surrounding areas to ensure the fire hasn't reached populated towns. The largest of these is Paradise. Ray orders more fire trucks to head toward the blaze. Later, Ray discovers that the fire was caused by electrical towers, so he tells Kaysen to contact the power company and have them shut off the electricity completely. However, 2 representatives from the power company arrive. Ray is furious because he sent multiple warnings the day before about the wildfire risks, but the power company ignored them. The representatives calm Ray down, assuring him that a team has already been dispatched to follow his orders. A firefighter named Hobik contacts Ray, reporting that he's in the fire zone, with burning embers falling from a forest onto people. Ray orders Hobik to evacuate the residents and get them to safety. Hobik runs to help, guiding the residents toward the lake, where they can take shelter from the fire. Meanwhile, Kevin's mother calls him, telling him that Sean has a high fever and is still sick. Kevin feels guilty for not believing Sean when he said he was ill. He quickly stops by a pharmacy to buy medicine for him. As Kevin is leaving the store, Linda calls, telling him that Sean phoned her, asking to live with her because he's scared. Kevin reassures Linda that he's already bought the medicine and is on his way to give it to Sean. Just then, Ruby calls Kevin, asking him to return to the station quickly with the bus because it needs maintenance. At the same time, Hobik contacts Ray again to report his location and asks for backup to save the people. But when Hobik and the civilians move to the lake to protect themselves from the burning embers, the backup units that Ray sent find the road blocked. Ray calls Hobik to check on him. Hobik, crying, tells him that the fire is burning them and that there are many injured people with him. He also reports that the fire is moving toward the town of Paradise at an alarming speed. Ray immediately issues an evacuation order for the affected zones in East Paradise. Ray and Kaysen get into a helicopter to survey the fire from above, trying to find a way to stop it. But disaster strikes when the Paradise Police's communication signal goes down, and they can't inform the residents about the evacuation order. At the same time, in one of the areas of Paradise, a school full of children is caught in the fire's path. The teacher, Mary, is trying to calm the students, but the school principal is worried the fire will reach them. She asks Mary to call the parents to pick up their children. The problem is that more than 20 students have parents who work outside the town and can't come for them. Mary sends a message to her sister, asking her to pick up her own son from school and go to a safe place. She then collects the phone numbers of the other children's parents and starts calling them, trying to get them to come for their kids. Meanwhile, Linda calls Kevin again, telling him that Sean doesn't want to live with him anymore because Kevin ruined his life by deciding to move back to his hometown after being away for 26 years, a place he also hated. Kevin is deeply affected by Linda's words. He decides to turn the bus around, go back to Sean, give him the medicine, and check on him first. Moments later, Ruby receives the evacuation notice from the California police. She quickly contacts all the drivers, instructing them to take the children and move them to the Chico warehouse outside the town. Then we go back to Mary, who has managed to reach most of the parents, and they come to pick up their children. Only 23 kids are left. Their parents work outside of town. She decides to call Ruby, asking her to send a driver to transport the remaining children to Paradise School, where their parents will be waiting. Ruby immediately ends the call and contacts all available drivers, but every one of them is outside the town, except for Kevin, who's still within the school area. Kevin makes the bravest decision of his life. He'll take those children himself and deliver them to safety. He rushes to pick them up, determined to save them. One father arrives just in time to take his daughter, leaving Kevin with 22 children. Mary shows Kevin the map and points out the route he should take according to the California police's instructions. Kevin hesitates, arguing that the route will be too crowded, but Mary insists on following the official directions. Kevin agrees, knowing it's the only choice. At that very moment, Ray is holding an emergency meeting with local authorities, police, army, and representatives from the power company. The power company's representative claims they have a full team ready to help, but Ray demands they cut the power to the entire town immediately. He needs to minimize any further risk. Ray's frustration mounts as he learns that the power grid is still live, causing more danger and delaying their evacuation efforts. Kevin's bus becomes stuck in traffic, with no movement in sight. The air is thick with smoke, and panic starts to set in. Kevin, feeling the weight of his responsibility, turns around and heads down another road, but that one's blocked too. Now he has no choice but to wait. As he sits in the bus, Mary turns to him, and they start talking. They admit their shared fear, not just for themselves, but for their own children, whom they left behind. Still, they make the decision to risk everything to save the 22 kids on the bus. Frustrated, Kevin exits the bus and talks to a traffic officer. He explains that he has children with him and pleads for a way to move forward. The officer tells him the road is blocked because fire trucks need to pass in the opposite direction, but the congestion has stopped them. He assures Kevin that he will let him know when there's an opening. Kevin returns to the bus and asks Mary to take over while he clears the way. He works with other drivers to create enough space for the bus to move through. After some tense moments, they finally break free and are back on the road. Kevin and Mary are elated. They're close, so close to getting the children to safety. But when they arrive at Paradise School, the scene is nothing like they expected. The entire school is engulfed in flames, and there are no parents in sight. Kevin and Mary are stunned into silence, unable to think of what to do next. After a brief pause, Mary decides that they need to head to the Chico warehouse, the designated evacuation point. She believes the parents must have gone there instead. Back at the command center, Ray and his team are under mounting pressure. They've evacuated 8,000 people, but more than 30,000 are still trapped in the fire zone. Ray learns about Kevin's bus and the 22 children. One of his officers warns him that the road Kevin is taking passes by several gas stations, which are at risk of exploding. To make matters worse, fallen power poles are collapsing onto cars, spreading the fire even faster. Ray, furious, calls the power company representative once more and orders him to shut off the electricity immediately. He finally realizes that the power company didn't follow through with their earlier orders. Meanwhile, Kevin and Mary check the map. They see two possible roads to get to Chico: Neil Road, which is narrow and full of dangerous slopes, and Skyway, which seems like the safer option. Kevin decides to take Skyway. But as they drive, the remnants of the fire catch onto the power poles and the wires snap, causing explosions. Kevin skillfully maneuvers around the wreckage, but at the end of the road, they're met with more fire, blocking their path. Mary scans the area and spots a small opening. She directs Kevin to it, and he floors the bus, managing to escape the immediate danger. But as they continue down Skyway, Kevin realizes it's becoming a death trap. He decides to risk it and drive toward Neil Road. As they drive, smoke seeps into the bus through the air conditioning, and the children start coughing uncontrollably. Kevin turns off the AC to try to stop the smoke from filling the bus, but the heat inside becomes unbearable. One of the girls starts suffocating, begging for water, but there's none left. In desperation, Kevin spots a gas station and pulls over. He rushes out to find water for the girl. Mary, determined to help, gets out instead, knowing the risk of explosions. She tells Kevin to stay with the children so he can keep them safe. As Mary runs toward the station, the heat intensifies. The gasoline fumes ignite, causing a series of explosions. Kevin, terrified, runs to find Mary and pulls her back to the bus just in time. They barely manage to escape as the explosions continue behind them. Kevin drives with unimaginable skill, dodging debris, falling poles, and fire. Meanwhile, Mary keeps the children calm, reassuring them that they'll make it. Finally, they break free from the worst of the danger. But their journey is far from over. At the same time, Ruby is with the children's parents at the Chico warehouse. She reassures them, telling them that their kids are with Kevin and Mary, and that she's confident in Kevin's abilities. He'll save the children and bring them back safely. Meanwhile, Kevin and the children reach Neil Road. It's completely dark, and Kevin holds a flashlight, pointing it toward the edge of a road to avoid falling off the mountain. But then one of Ray's men informs him that Neil Road is full of steep slopes, and the danger of new fires igniting from the burning embers is high. The real problem, though, is that no rescue units can be sent to help Kevin and the kids. They're on their own. Kevin realizes this as people run toward him, warning that the road ahead is blocked and that fire is spreading fast. Despite the danger, Kevin decides to climb to the top of the mountain to check for himself. When he arrives, he's shocked to see that fire has surrounded them from all sides. Realizing there's no way out, Kevin decides to stay with Mary and the children inside the bus, waiting for a miracle or rescue. To protect the children for as long as possible, Kevin tears his t-shirt into several pieces and asks Mary to wet them with water, placing them on the kids' faces to help them breathe. As the fire continues to spread, Kaysen talks to Ray, telling him the situation is rapidly spiraling out of control. The best option now, Kaysen says, is to stop fighting the fire and focus solely on saving lives. Ray agrees, and a press conference is held to update the media on the dire situation. Ray announces they'll now prioritize evacuations, but he ends with a somber message. He says that every year the fires grow worse, with each one more devastating than the last. The true blame, he points out, lies with those responsible, the businessmen who profit from electric companies. Back with Kevin and Mary, they find a moment to talk. Mary tells Kevin that she loves paradise and has only left it twice, once for a vacation with a friend and another time on a trip with her husband to San Francisco. Paradise is where she feels safe. Kevin, however, has a very different relationship with the town. He left on his 16th birthday after a fight with his father that ended with him being hit. That day, Kevin vowed never to return. But after 26 years, when his mother called to tell him that his father was sick, Kevin came back, only to find that his father had already passed away. He stayed to care for his mother, but his relationship with Linda broke down. Kevin decided to raise Sean on his own. Kevin opens up to Mary, admitting that the reason he took on this mission wasn't just about the kids. He wanted to be a hero in Sean's eyes. Suddenly, sparks from the fire catch nearby trees, and they quickly start to burn. Kevin and Mary rush out to try to put out the fire, but the flames spread too quickly. Kevin runs back to the bus and tries to drive it away, but he's horrified to discover the bus has broken down. He quickly gets out to fix the problem and tells Mary to try starting the engine. After several attempts, the bus roars to life and Kevin floors it, racing through the flames at full speed. The children are terrified, convinced this will be their last moments, but fate intervenes. Miraculously, they make it out of the fire and they reach Chico, where all the parents rush toward their children, relieved and grateful. Mary thanks Kevin, calling him a hero for saving them. Overwhelmed with emotion, she spots her son and sister in the crowd and runs to them. Kevin, still in disbelief at what they've just survived, goes to Ruby and hands her the bus keys with a grin, joking about sending the bus for maintenance. Afterward, Kevin goes to find his mother and Sean in the shelter. His heart sinks when he learns that Linda took Sean and left after hearing he was sick. Kevin feels a pang of sadness, realizing he's lost more than just the bus ride. A few days later, Ray and his team finally manage to put out the fire. Kevin returns to his house, which has been completely reduced to ashes, hoping to find a picture of him and Sean. As he sifts through the wreckage, he sees Linda and Sean arriving to check on him after hearing about his heroic act. Kevin's face lights up with joy as Sean returns to him, his heart swelling with relief. The fire would go down in history as one of the deadliest in California's history, 85 lives lost and over 13,500 homes destroyed. Ray discovers that the electric company was responsible for starting the fire, and 84 cases of involuntary manslaughter are filed against its officials. The company pays $13.5 billion in compensation to the victims. As for Kevin, he decides to stay in Chico, becoming a teacher at a local school. Mary, finally ready to let go of her attachment to Paradise, begins a new chapter in her life, leaving the past and the fire behind. And with that, the movie ends.